Glad you could join us for 7:30 News Bulletin. My name is Vales Chizombe. First, the headline. NFRA assures Malawians of enough maize to carry the country through the lean season. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency slams Parliamentary Service Commission foreign training amid austerity measures. And in other news, Economic Community of West African States lifts all sanctions against Guinea after Domboya's election. We do have the details of the stories and more. Do stay with us. Pope Leo XIV has called the transmission of faith an urgent task for the Church today, urging the discovery of the sweet and comforting joy of evangelizing in the face of growing indifferences and the rapture and generation of faith transmission. The Holy Father made this remarks on Thursday while welcoming members of the preliminary assembly of the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith at the Vatican. We have a Vatican News report read by Charity Shilanga.
Pope Leo highlighted the importance of their mission in helping the Pope and bishops proclaim the gospel by safeguarding and deepening the Church's teaching on faith and morals, drawing from the deposit of faith in response to new and emerging questions. Pope Leo expressed his appreciation for the valuable service carried out by the dicastery, noting that its task is to offer doctrinal clarifications through pastoral and theological guidance on often delicate issues. He thanked the members for the many documents published in recent years, saying their work contributes greatly to the spiritual growth of the faithful people of God. Reflecting on what he described as an epochal change in the contemporary society, the Pope said the dicastery's work provides the faithful with a timely and clear word from the Church, offering guidance amid new historical phenomena and supporting bishops and theologians in their pastoral and evangelizing mission. Turning to the theme discussed during the plenary session, Pope Leo underscored that the transmission of the faith is a matter of great agency. He observed that in recent decades, a rupture has occurred in the generational transmission of the Christian faith, particularly in traditionally evangelized contexts, and that many people, especially the young, no longer perceive the gospel as central to their lives. While acknowledging the sorrow this reality causes believers, the Pope said it must prompt the Church to rediscover the joy of evangelizing, which lies at the heart of her life and mission. He recalled the recent extraordinary consistory where cardinals called for a missionary church that looks beyond herself and reaches out to others. The Holy Father reiterated that the Church proclaims the gospel primarily through the power of attraction, emphasizing that it is not the Church herself who attracts, but Christ. He explained that when individuals or communities draw others, it is because the love of Christ flows through them, making each believer a humble worker in the Lord's vineyard. Concluding his address, Pope Leo renewed his gratitude for the service offered by the members of the dicastery, especially when carried out with humility and discretion, and imparted his apostolic blessing.
The National Food Reserve Agency (NFRA) has disclosed that it has purchased enough maize this year, exceeding its annual target of 105,000 metric tons. According to NFRA spokesperson At Mpakeni, the available stock is sufficient to sustain the country throughout the current lean season. Constance Kantameni reports.
In an interview, Mpakeni said the agency is satisfied with the maize purchases so far, which include over 14,500 metric tons procured from local farmers since the resumption of buying on 29 December last year. He said these purchases are in addition to 200,000 metric tons of maize imported from Zambia to boost the national reserves. However, Mpakeni acknowledged that the agency currently lacks resources to buy all the maize available in the market.
Resuming the purchase of maize from 29th December 2025, the agency has so far procured approximately 14,537 metric tons of maize, which has been purchased from local farmers across the country. This is an addition to the stock which we already bought last year starting from June, and also the stock which we have procured from Zambia. Cumulatively, the aggregate of these stocks means that we have already surpassed our target, our annual target of 105,000 metric tons, which means the agency has got enough stocks in its storage for the nation. The major challenge which we have encountered so far is that farmers were holding off maize, which meant that the time we were procuring last year, most of them did not bring their maize. As such, they have brought it now, which means the supply is high, but the resources are minimal, which is a challenge on our side. However, since we are already in the lean season, and we are only remaining 2 months for farmers now to start harvesting, we believe that the stocks which we have in our silos and warehouses should be enough to sustain the country up to the time in which farmers and families harvest. So we are very confident that we have enough food to support the country during this lean season.
Among other things, NRFA said the resumption of the maize purchasing exercise was aimed at ensuring the agency has sufficient stock to meet the growing demand for the staple during the lean season. The 2025 Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee report indicates that over 4 million Malawians are food insecure, prompting the government to undertake several initiatives to cushion the population against the seasonal shortage. For LUNTHA News in Lilongwe, this is Constance Kamtemen.
The Center for Social Accountability and Transparency, CSAT, has asked Parliament to clearly explain the financing and rationale behind the leadership development training for newly appointed Parliamentary Service Commission members currently underway in Sanditon, South Africa, despite government hostility measures. CSAT Executive Director Wile Kambandila says the decision contradicts hostility measures issued last year by the Chief Secretary to the government, which were meant to reduce public spending. Emmanuel Chuocha has more in this report.
Speaking in an interview with LUNTHA Television, Kambandila said the Speaker of Parliament and the PSCC members would have led by example by strictly adhering to the austerity guidelines. He added that the leadership training could have been conducted locally at the Malawi School of Government, a move he says would have significantly reduced cost.
I think in the first place, let me start by saying that these are troubling liberations, considering that the trainings are happening at a time when the executive issued an order stopping such foreign travels and engagements. So the action taken by Parliament doesn't in any way reflect commitment to implement the state austerity measures. And if anything, I think the message that they're sending is that these austerities are particularly for the ordinary citizens, not those connected to power.
Efforts to get a comment from the Parliament spokesperson Ian Mwenye proved futile as he did not respond to our calls. The Parliament Service Commission comprised of 5 registrators: Penjani Kalua of United Transformation Party, Chifundo Magande of Democratic Progressive Party, Daniel Chitonya of Malawi Congress Party, Ismail Nkumba of United Democratic Front, and Beatrice Mware of the People's Party. Set to end on 31st January 2026, the workshop aims at laying a strong foundation for the advanced strategic board leadership and corporate governance training, and is being hosted by the South African. Set to end on 31st January 2026, the workshop aims at laying a strong foundation for the advanced strategic board leadership and corporate governance training, and is being hosted by the Southern African Development Institute, SADI. For LUNTHA News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
The NGO Coalition on Child Rights has warned that children are at high risk of contracting cholera during the rainy season, urging parents, school authorities, and other stakeholders to strengthen hygiene practices in environments where children spend most of their time. NGO Coalition on Child Rights National Coordinator Henry Machemba said schools, churches, and communities must ensure access to clean and safe water, proper sanitation, and functional hand-washing facilities to protect children from cholera. We have more details in this report filed by Gift Kalunga.
In an interview with LUNTHA TV, National Coordinator for the NGO Coalition on Child Rights, Henry Machemba, said the rainy season increases the risk of cholera, especially among children, due to poor sanitation and unsafe water sources. He emphasized that parents and guardians must ensure children are playing and living in clean environments and are accessing safe water and hygienically prepared food. Machemba also called on school authorities and managers of places where children gather to provide clean and functional hand-washing facilities, particularly near toilets. He stressed that maintaining cleanliness in schools, churches, and other public spaces is critical in preventing a cholera outbreak and safeguarding the lives of children.
Yeah, we are in this season, the rainy season, and the cholera is a high risk. So parents and the authorities, whether in schools or in other places where children are playing or maybe spending their time, they should make sure that there's a hygiene in terms of the environment, but also water hygiene and food hygiene. Whenever children are accessing food or maybe they are drinking water, they should be able to access clean water and clean food. In schools, authorities, school management should ensure that there are hand-washing facilities at the school so that learners are able to wash their hands when they visit washrooms, when they visit sanitary facilities. And even the sanitary facilities should be also clean to make sure that when children are attending school, they are attending lessons, they are able to be protected from contracting the disease of cholera. So it is our expectation that all stakeholders are going to hold hands, parents, above leaders in the schools and in other, whether in churches. When the children are at church, they are attending activities at church, they need to be also taken care of. There need to be hygiene has to be enhanced in all these places.
Meanwhile, the NGO Coalition on Child Rights has urged all stakeholders to take responsibility in protecting children from cholera, which largely affects them during the rain season. For LUNTHA News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Healthy expert George Obi has warned that the illegal sale of medicine drugs is contributing to drug shortages in public hospitals and putting lives at risk, following the arrest of a 45-year-old man by Mangochi police for illegal possession of medical drugs and operating an unlicensed clinic. Speaking to LUNTHA Television, Joby said the arrest highlights two major dangers: the circulation of unsafe medicines among the public and unqualified individuals masquerading as healthy care workers. He warned that such practices expose patients to wrong treatment, drug misuse, and possible loss of life. Judith Ogan reports.
Commenting on the case, Jobe said authorities have long suspected that many medicines sold illegally in trading centers are stolen from public health facilities, a situation he said contributes to frequent drug stockouts in government hospitals. He explained that when medicines are stolen, patients are denied treatment, forced to buy drugs they cannot afford, or left untreated altogether. Circumstances, he said, can lead to serious complications and preventable deaths.
When you look at this matter, there are two issues here. The first one is the suspected theft of medicines from the public. And the other one is the practicing or operating an illegal clinic and also practicing illegally as a healthcare worker. On the first issue of suspected theft, we have for some time been suspecting that most of the medicines we find on the market are stolen from public health facilities, which has been causing stockouts of medicines. So, because of the medicine stockouts, some people are denied medicines, others are retained and told to buy some of his medicines.
Health expert George Jobe was reacting to the news that Mangochi police had arrested a 45-year-old man for illegal selling medical drugs and operating an unlicensed clinic, describing the case as a serious warning about the dangers of illegal medicine circulating and unqualified practitioners.
Indeed, we received a tip from the community that the suspect was illegally selling medical drugs and treating patients in his shop within Chilipa Trading Center. And immediately, a team of our detectives rushed to the place where they recovered assorted medical drugs and equipment. When we questioned him, he failed to produce any documentation and could not even name the drugs found in his possession. So we invited a pharmacist from Mangochi District Hospital to help in identifying the drugs. The suspect will appear in court to answer charges related to possession of medical drugs and operating a clinic without a license.
Police spokesperson Amina Tempani Daudi said Ruben Nyalungwe was apprehended at Chilipa Trading Center in Traditional Authority Chilipa after community members reported his activities. Officers recovered assorted medical drugs and equipment, and the suspect, who could not provide proper documents or identify the drugs, will appear in court to face charges. For LUNTHA News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Ogan.
Remember that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Neve Media Center. Today you're with me, Fales Chizombe. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV calls for renewed joy in transmitting faith. NFRA assures Malawians of enough maize to carry the country through the lean season. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency slams Parliamentary Service Commission foreign training amid austerity measures. And in other news, Economic Community of West African States lifts all sanctions against Guinea after Domboya's election. Moving forward, an environmental expert, Loayo Beswick, has described permaculture as one of the most effective solutions to climate change impacts, food insecurity and land degradation affecting Malawi and other southern African countries. Speaking in an interview with LUNTHA Television, Beswick said permaculture goes beyond conventional farming as it works with nature rather than against it to support sustainable food production. We have more details in this report fired by Alison Banda, led in our studios by Judith Ogan.
Beswick said Malawi and the wider southern African region are increasingly experiencing prolonged droughts erratic rainfall and declining soil fertility, making farming more challenging for many households. He explained that permaculture offers practical and affordable solutions by promoting water conservation, soil regeneration, and crop diversity that can withstand harsh climate conditions. Biswick noted that practices such as mulching, rainwater harvesting, composting, and intercropping help retain soil moisture while reducing dependence on expensive chemical fertilizers. According to Biswick, permaculture is particularly beneficial to smallholder farmers who form the backbone of food production in Malawi and other countries in the southern.
If farmers are practicing permaculture because they're putting in short-term, medium-term, and long-term crops, some of those crops will be water-loving crops, and then some of the crops will be drought-resistant. So in terms of too much water, some of those water-loving plants will be able to provide protection to the farmer. In terms of drought, the farmer should be able to harvest because they planted drought-resistant or drought-tolerant crops. So it's very different to monoculture, whereby somebody's just focusing on one crop, one season, 1 year. If we get too much rain, maize fails. If we get too little rain, maize fails. If we have erratic rains, maize fails. Dry spells, maize fails. If somebody doesn't have fertilizer, the maize fails. So monoculture is different to permaculture because in permaculture, they are always options. So if one would want to start permaculture today, very simple. You can just start with what you have, where you are, and then you'll be building from there.
Permaculture expert. Beyond food production, Biswick said permaculture also contributes to environmental protection through tree planting and maintaining ground cover, which help prevent soil erosion, protects riverbanks, and restore degraded land. He further noted that the approach empowers communities by relying on local knowledge and local available resources, lowering production costs, building resilience, and strengthening community control over food systems in the face of climate change. For LUNTHA News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Ogan.
Motorcycle operators across the country have appealed to the government to reconsider and reduce the fees charged for motorcycle registration, arguing that the current costs are too high and are negatively affecting their livelihoods. According to the operators, while they support government efforts to bring order and safety to the transport sector, the policies should take into account the economic realities faced by operators, including rising fuel prices, maintenance costs, and limited access to financing. Speaking on behalf of the operators, Chairperson of the Malawi Coalition for Kabaza Stakeholders and Association, Makokasa Moses Marabu, said the group intends to seek an audience with the Minister of Finance to formally present their concerns and propose the possible solutions. Alison Banda has heard a report read by Tandiwem Zumara.
According to Marabu, most motorcycle operators depend entirely on motorcycle transport for income, and the high registration and compliance fees are making it difficult for them to operate legally. Marabu noted that some operators are being forced out of business or pushed into operating illegally because they cannot afford the costs. He further emphasized that the association is not against regulation but is calling for fees that are fair and affordable, especially for small-scale operators who form the majority in the sector.
As Makokasa, you know that we ask the government through Minister of Finance to make pathway for us, and the pathway was given in terms of taxation and the charges from MRI, and the MRI indeed reduced the charges, and they gave us a period of 6 months, which was ended in 31st December 2025, and from now, it means that if somebody goes there and register his or her motorcycle, it means they're going to charge the previous charges, which was too exorbitant for somebody from Kabaza who cannot, for somebody who's vulnerable, cannot be able to manage to pay that particular amount. As a result, what we are doing is right now is like we have engaged different stakeholders, government officials through the Minister of Local Government. We met the Minister himself as well as the Minister of Homeland Security. And what we resolved is like to meet the Minister of Finance. We have initiated the need of having a national stakeholder meeting where we are going to discuss all these issues concerning legislation and new legislation, as well as the issue of licensing. And we have written a letter today, and we are expecting that they are going to ask us, and we are requesting the Minister of Finance to hold this particular meeting. We have requested the Minister to meet us, to convene this national stakeholder meeting on 4th February.
Meanwhile, motorcycle operators have warned that if the situation is not addressed, many operators may struggle to sustain their businesses, which could affect transport services, especially in rural and peri-urban areas where motorcycles play a critical role. The Ministry of Finance is yet to comment on the planned request by the motorcycle operators.
In sports, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Patricia Waiskes, has appealed to the Ministry of Finance to conduct a thorough review of the country's financial framework ahead of the 2026-2027 fiscal year, citing funding gaps affecting the completion and modernization of key sports facilities. The minister made an appeal during an inspection tour of the Olympic Aquatic Sports Complex at the Kamoso Institute for Sports and the Bingo National Stadium. Patrick Pupa reports.
We have seen that we inspected Aquatic Center and the Bingo National Stadium. There are a lot of challenges that have been raised. We just wanted to hear from you. What's your remarks and the recommendations as well?
Thank you very much. It is indeed true that we came here at Bingo National Stadium as well as the Aquatic Center. For the Aquatic Center, the focus was to appreciate the progress of the development there. As you are aware, that project had stalled, and as a new government, the focus now is to ensure that we commit to completing all facilities that were commissioned but have not been completed yet. So for the Aquatic Center, we wanted to appreciate the progress so that as we're coming in with the
we apologize for the report. We have some technical difficulties. Moving forward with the news. In international news, Kenya has intensified preparations for hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations with the Raila Odinga Stadium now nearing completion. Sports Cabinet Secretary Salima Mvula says the facility is 85% complete, a milestone he says reflects the country's readiness to co-host the continental tournament alongside Uganda and Tanzania. Afonso Omar reports from Kenya capital, Nairobi.
The Raila Odinga Stadium is now 85% complete as Kenya steps up preparations for hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON. Speaking after inspecting the facility, Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya said the progress made so far demonstrates Kenya's capacity and commitment to successfully host the tournament together with its Pamoja partner countries.
We have conducted a visit to review the progress of construction of Raila Odinga International Stadium. From our visit, we are very happy and satisfied that there's good progress of the infrastructure of the stadium and all the other amenities that are ongoing. And from our assessment and the technical team, the construction now is at 85%. And it is on schedule.
Mvurya noted that the steady pace of construction aligns with President William Ruto's vision of positioning Kenya as a leading sporting destination on the continent. He conducted the inspection alongside Defense Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya. The sports CS said the inspection team was impressed by the progress of works, adding that the contractor is working around the clock to ensure external works and training facilities are completed by the end of February. As part of the country's readiness to host a successful Africa Cup of Nations, the government has also revealed plans to invite a high-level Confederation of African Football (CAF) to inspect and assess the status of key stadia earmarked for Kenya's matches. Mvurya said the CAF delegation is expected in the country next month to validate construction and rehabilitation works and ensure full compliance with CAF and FIFA standards.
In fact, what we have decided is we will be inviting CAF in advance, maybe in the middle of next month, so that they can come, the technical team, they can also review with us the progress. If there's any other suggestion that they want to make, they can make it when the contractor is still on the ground, so that we incorporate some of the ideas that they may have. So we'll be inviting them officially to come and review and also work with us. So that is not a big issue. So that as we prepare for AFCON, then we are on compliance and also on schedule.
The government of Kenya has further assured that it is working around the clock to upgrade critical infrastructure, including road networks, to guarantee the success of the tournament.
The government, through His Excellency the President, is investing, heavily, on the matter of roads infrastructure. And therefore, as a region, we find this as an opportunity. We are very confident. The president of CAF has given us a vote of confidence to ensure that we host AFCON 2027.
The 2027 Africa Cup of Nations will be jointly hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, with all three countries affirming their readiness to stage the continental football showpiece. Alphonse Ouma, LUNTHA TV, Nairobi.
Still on international news, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has lifted all remaining sanctions imposed on Guinea following the 2021 military coup after the election of former junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya as president. The regional bloc said the decision was taken in recognition of Guinea's return to constitutional order through a successful constitutional referendum and presidential election. We have an African News report read by Charity Chilanga.
In a statement issued on Wednesday, ECOWAS said it had decided to lift with immediate effect all residual sanctions against Guinea and individuals involved in the coup. The bloc also announced the country's full reintegration into all ECOWAS decision-making organs and the regional activities. ECOWAS had imposed a raft of sanctions on the mineral-rich but economically struggling country after Doumbouya overthrew President Alpha Condé in September 2021. The measures included diplomatic, financial, and economic restrictions aimed at pressuring the military authorities to restore civilian rule. Some of the sanctions were eased in February 2024 when ECOWAS lifted restrictions on financial transactions between Guinea and regional institutions. The latest decision now removes all outstanding punitive measures, effectively normalizing Guinea's relations with the bloc. The regional body congratulated Doumbouya on his election and encouraged him to pursue policies that promote social cohesion, national unity, and inclusive prosperity for the Kenyan people. It said the move was intended to support stability and democratic consolidation in the country. Doumbouya was sworn in as president earlier this month in a ceremony attended by tens of thousands of supporters and several African heads of state. Guinea's Supreme Court validated his victory, attributing it to 86.7% of the vote in the December presidential election. However, his rule has been marked by controversy, with critics pointing to a crackdown on civil liberties since the coup. Protests have been banned, political opponents arrested or forced into exile, and human rights groups continue to raise concerns about shrinking democratic space in the West African nation.
That item concludes our today's news bulletin. Before we go, another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV calls for renewed joy in transmitting faith. NFRA assures Malawians of enough maize to carry the country through the lean season. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency slams Parliamentary Service Commission foreign training amid austerity measures. And in other news, Economic Community of West African States lifts all sanctions against Guinea after Domboya's election. I've been Fales Chizombe. Thank you so much for watching and keep it LUNTHA TV. Goodbye.